This is Uncut.
Huh? You know I can see and you
Yeah, I have to.
Why you holding back? Cause this is Uncut. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. Know why you holding back? Sometimes it's rough. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no bluff. This is Uncut. Can't get enough. The truth I ain't holding back. This ain't no bluff. You are deserving that. Sometimes it's rough. Know why you holding back? Cause this is Uncut. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. Know why you holding back? Sometimes it's rough. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no bluff.
Hey, Turks and Giggles. Welcome to another episode of Uncut. And I know this week we were supposed to have Ms. Farrah Grant in UK. However, unfortunately, she was unable to be with us today due to circumstances beyond her control. And Farrah, we send all of our prayers to you, and we hope that everything is okay. But we do have another exciting guest today, and he is in the person of Mr. Chevelle McPhee. And I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with who Chevelle is. Chevelle is one of our community activists who stands firm in his beliefs, for our country and the voice of many people. And Chevelle, welcome you to
Let's go. Come on. Thank you so much, Rolando. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the welcome. And it's a pleasure to be on Uncut TCI. I've been waiting a minute and I'm just glad to finally make it here. Um,
I am certain that a lot of us have seen that you have been posting about this upcoming protest and we all have questions. So tell us a little bit about the upcoming protest.
well, the TCI Protest Group is a group of like-minded
I'm sorry, can you
individuals.
speak up a little bit?
The TCI Protest Group is a group of like-minded individuals, and they are, I mean, when I say dedicated, they are dedicated to the cause of basically standing out for Turks and Caicos. You understand? For the lower class individual that has no voice. That's what we are here for, you know? Um I am a former police officer. I've also held a position of managerial by in the hospitality industry by Grace Bay Club, and I've learned a lot, and it's taught me a lot, and I think that I've taken that a lot with me. I've learned a lot, and I've taken a lot with me, and it's just a lot of that's going on in the TCI that at this time a lot of people are just playing a blind eye to Olandra, and we're playing that everything is okay with us. When the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of families hurting. You understand? I get about several calls each day. You understand? People believe that that I'm in a a political arena when that's not necessarily the case. I just have a big heart, and even though I'm a Bahamian with Turks Island descent or whatnot, I love the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I love its people, and I am willing to stand up in what I believe in, and I am ready to fight for what is right. You understand? And with the upcoming elections, I just want our politicians, our leaders, to just stop playing the politics with our people. There is no time for that. We are in a crisis, and I'm not blaming the government for COVID, but I want them, because we're such a closely knitted community, to show some compassion, show some side some sort of heart for the people. You understand? I work a security job at night that brings in about $600. And if I can take my $600, Valandra, and assist those in need, to get their children in school, to buy the tablets, to put food in homes. Why is it that our politicians that we are paying thousands of dollars, that we elected, that we are paying thousands of dollars for, whatnot, are not assisting our people, that are leaving our people on read in the times of crisis? That does not sit well with me. And like I say, guys, this has never been about me. The TCI Protest Group has a total of what, 50, 55, 50 individuals, something of that sort. And I can tell you, each and every one of them are passionate about the Turks and Caicos. They love their islands, and they do not want to see it being taken away from them, taken away from their kids.
Yes. And
And this go ahead.
or you could go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What is the focus of the upcoming protest? What issue?
It's a few things. It's a few things. Number one, this curfew, we have had enough of it. You understand? We want our politicians to make decisions that make sense to the people. COVID-19 does not only out in the night. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the Honorable Akira Mizik has sent out a video about that. And it makes sense. You understand? It makes sense. We understand that in this pandemic or whatnot, you can catch this virus any and everywhere. And there is no vaccine at the moment for it. You understand? But the Ministry of Health, they sent us a dashboard that shows us exactly how much cases there are actively, and we're a little under. Well, under, correct me if I'm wrong. We're a little under what, 40 something cases.
That
So
was a
why is it that you're continuing every 2 weeks or whatnot, when the persons are looking hope or whatever the case may, you're locking down the country, stopping persons them livelihood. You understand? People depend. I mean, even if they extend it to 10 p.m., you understand? Persons have to already be eating in home by 7 o'clock. Police are already at your door. And I'm, like I mentioned before, I'm a fellow police officer, and I'm not against law enforcement. I don't want anyone to believe that that is the case. However, I want everyone during a time like this to exercise compassion. Turks and Caicos is different on the whole, and we are a loving, closely knitted community. You understand? And when it gets to the point that you're not making enough hours at work, working 3 days a week because of curfew and no tourists and stuff like that, when it affects every household, these bills, but yet they still expect us to pay these bills. The police are on the road 24/7 issuing tickets. And it's like, come on. How can you pay bills when you're not making any money? It has to make sense.
And I think one of the questions that you have been getting a lot and probably is on everyone's mind is why wait so late when the curfew is supposed to be lifted on the 15th anyway, especially with the reopening of these hotels.
Exactly, Walandra. The thing about it, right? A lot of people are asking these questions, why? But my answer to them is why not? Why not? Um, in regards to us doing the protest on the 9th and the 14th, as you can see for the past couple of weeks, months, or whatnot, every time it trickles down to the time that the country is supposed to be open, we receive another press release from the government saying that they're extended. And everybody's just like holding their head, like, oh my God, wow, what are they going to say now? We are sick and tired because the government is not assisting. All they talk about stimulus and this and that and the other to help or whatnot. They are not assisting us. So we're fending on our own. And if you're going to keep on every time you say, okay, we're going to give it until this time, and then you extend it again and not helping our people. Persons have not even received the first stimulus package yet here in these islands. That isn't right, man. I know persons personally, family members that are literally riding around in this Turks and Caicos Islands. I remember when I used to brag and say that there weren't any homeless people here in the Turks and Caicos, and that's how I knew that this was a rich person. People don't want to go home, but they wasn't homeless.
I could totally relate to that because when I had moved to Barbados, actually on the corner that I was living, there was a homeless guy and I was baffled. I didn't know how to react to it. And I told my classmates one day, I was like, in Turks, I've never seen a homeless person. I've seen people who don't want to go
Go
home.
home. Yes.
I never truly seen a homeless person, and now it is so sad that now we actually have homeless people. We actually have persons that live out of their cars, persons with children that are living out of their cars, and we have to ask ourselves at what point is the impoverished line? Where do we draw that line to say these people cannot afford to live and it is government's responsibility to offer them some sort of assistance? And what kind of assistance is in place? Because if I recall correctly, I did go on the website to review the food package that they have, and I noticed that it's at $200 a month and it's only for 6 months. How many groceries can you get with $200 for a household of four? So I think it needs to be, the packages that we're offering needs to be personalized, and we need to assess how many individuals are in the household, what is the current um, income status of the household, what are the ages of the children in the household. So we now have to take into account a lot more factors instead of giving a blanket $600 for the stimulus package or even a blanket $200 for the food package.
Not only that, Walandra, we have to remember that that we work for our kids. You understand? And our kids are in school. Some are in private school. You understand? And
Well,
when we
there's a way around the whole private school, public school thing, because at the end of the day, the government is responsible for schooling kids. So even if the government school runs out of spaces, so if everyone in Turks and Caicos decides we're gonna put our child in public school, the only thing that the government can do is subsidize the private schools because they have to ensure that every child is enrolled in school. It doesn't matter if your family can afford it, can't afford it, you must be in school.
will, but are they doing it is the question.
That's another thing. Enforcement is a huge issue here But that goes
Hence,
back to the episode that was with Miss Sabrina Green. That is why the Human Rights Commission is here. They're here to ensure that your human rights are respected and that you
hence the protests. Because we have to hold somebody accountable. We're not blaming the government for COVID-19. That is a worldwide pandemic. However,
the management of it.
the management. You understand? So I really don't know.
And what is the date as well as the location of the protest that is upcoming?
Okay, so it's going to be on October 9th, which is Friday, October 9th, at 7 Stars. And we've held a few protests in the past, and it's basically been, I would say, what, a kickback to make people comfortable and stuff like that or whatnot. But I've noticed something that all we did, our leaders, well, I would say the party in power has not come out, has not reached out. You understand? The opposition party or whatnot, and this isn't about politics, but the majority of them have reached out and they feel, you understand, they empathize with us. Until this date, our persons that we've elected, that we went in a line and waited 2 and 3 hours for, has not come forth and say, hey guys, what is the problem? How can we help? And it's not necessarily helping us, but we can direct them to people that are desperately in need. You understand? A few months ago, the churches organized something where they were giving out food. Our government have not. Why?
I seriously feel like we live in such a small community. However, we have neglected the tight-knit community that we once grew up in. And in the age of social media and all of these different platforms, persons are afraid to actually come out and say, hey, look, I need a plate of food. Because they're afraid that whoever is gonna give them that plate of food will speak about them and will publicize and say, hey, I gave John Doe a plate of food today, and post it on Facebook and Instagram and all of these different platforms. So we have to come out of the mind frame of thinking that whatever we do, we have to post. Because if you do a good deed, it should come from your heart and not for anything in return. You shouldn't even look for a thank you in return from that person.
Agreed. And there's certain things, certain infrastructures that they're putting in places like the prison that they're estimating to be 18, what is it? What is it? How much? 18 mil. You can give each Turks, and there's not much of us, $10,000 once they come to you with a business plan and stimulate that Turks Island self-empowerment so that we wouldn't have to be dependent on the government. $18 million can do a lot for Turks and Caicos Islanders, and there are a lot of bright Turks and Caicos Islanders or whatnot with the know-how and the capability and the business savvy mind to make these moves so that they would not, you understand, and not only that, to what's the word I'm looking for, to, because you have a lot of foreigners or whatnot that come here and they work and they send their money homes or whatnot, Turks and Caicos Islanders or whatnot, to invest and replenish the money into the country.
Well, Chevelle,
I want them. Go ahead.
I think we both could agree on the fact that there's a lot of things that could be done differently, and a lot of monies can be reallocated to the proper places, because even in terms of our state-of-the-art $1.5 million post office, that could have very well been a police station. And we have to now learn as a people to not speak up after the fact, because a lot of times we don't pay attention to our surroundings and we don't truly know what's going on in our country. And that is essentially why we speak up after the fact, because we don't even realize it's happening. So a lot of persons saw that the post office was building, but they never actually read, I'm not sure what it's called, but you know, the photo that they have outside of the buildings that they're about to do. So a lot of persons didn't actually read to see how much that post office was costing and take into account the location and all of these different things, because that could have been reallocated for something that is more purposeful. Because even though we have a $1.5 million state of the art post office, how many people get their mail on time? So we have to, as a community.
Walandra, we have moved from the day and age of mail. You understand? There are a few persons that even use that apparatus. You understand? And I just, boy. I don't want to say anything to get me in trouble, but I heard you said something earlier that you said that people that they say and think there's a lot of persons that do not want to speak out, and this is what this protest group is for. And I want persons or whatnot, because we all know what's going on here. I want us to come forth. I want us to feel comfortable to come forth and speak about this thing. There was a lady, Miss Chrissy Pratt, that had an incident at the hospital. You understand? There's still, you wouldn't believe there's still a person that is like, oh, I believe her and this and that. Like, seriously? We all go to that hospital every day. You understand? And we know what type of service we get. We know the runaround that we get. We know that we get pain relievers for everything that we have. Come on, man. When are we going to get with the program and realize that, hey, something isn't right about this? And yes, we are better than so much Caribbean countries when it comes to the medical field and stuff like that, you know? We have a nice clean environment and stuff like that. I gotta give credit where credit is due. But at the end of the day or whatnot, it's just when you have persons or whatnot, elderly and the young and the thing about the person just rather stay home and die than to go to that medical institution. You got to say something is wrong. Why isn't our government haven't they launched an inquiry and find out what's going on with so many complaints and reports against them?
Yes, we also have to take into, I think, in the case of the hospital, we have a lot of things to take into account. Something that the government should look into is our hospital staff overworked? Because if you have your hospital staff overworked, then that leaves so much room for human error. That leaves room for misdiagnosing and all of these different things, because they may be too exhausted. And it's not to say that these doctors don't care, but when you reach a certain point of exhaustion, you just can't function at your maximum capacity. So I feel like there's a lot of factors that needs to be looked at the hospital. I also feel like you said, you have to give credit where it's due. A lot of times, I myself used to be sickly, so I spent a lot of time there. And a lot of persons at the hospital used to be complaining about the waiting time. And our waiting time is absolutely nothing compared to many places in the world. So that's one of the things that we have to be grateful for, and not nitpick at everything. But we have a lot of issues in this country that actually needs touching on. And of course, through this COVID pandemic and all of these different things that has been going on, everyone have seen you being very vocal. And the question now lies, will you now go silent when COVID-19 is gone, or is this something continuous?
This has to continue
I'm sorry.
until the systematic oppression has been ceased or relinquished. This has to continue. And it's plain as simple as that. And I have a message, and it's like a slogan or a motto right now. They have to stop playing politics with our lives and with our kids' lives. And I don't know how that resonates with people. You understand? But it goes that statement there goes so far with me. Every 4 years we have this thing our grandparents and stuff like that, whatnot, every 4 years, whatnot, they vote in or vote on a party or whatever the case may be, just to see, well, 4 years this family eat, and another 4 years this family eat, and stuff like that or whatnot. We have to break out of all of that and vote in people Turks and Caicos. This isn't about party anymore. We have to cut that out. How 40 plus years of just voting for party with no change, doing the same thing in and out or whatnot. Somebody mentioned in the group that doing this over and over and expecting change is a form of retardation. You understand? We have to change our thinking. We have to set our people. We have to mentally free our people first. And that is the goal of the Tci Protest Group or whatnot. We live as one, we live as family, whatnot. We want to change the mindset of those that are in the group. You understand? And I understand that it's a process. But the only way we can reach the goal is if we work together. We have to work together as one. We have to put our differences aside. We have to stop the hate. We have to stop the jealousy amongst each other.
Yes. Do you feel like as a nation we are united enough to stand for what we believe in? Or do you think that we need more work in uniting?
Sorry?
I said,
can't hear you.
Do you feel as a nation we are as united as we're supposed to be? And at this time to get the change that we actually want to see as a country?
No, we're not. No, we're not. The thing about it or whatnot, globally, when it comes to election stuff like that, we have this phrase that we call silly season. You understand? And I believe that we're in a silly season, Walandra. However, those that are thinking clearly, like myself and others in the Tci Protest Group, we have to spread the message to let people know that, hey, yes, I know this is a norm for us to get in our feelings over politics, but we have to make the right choice, because these choices not only affects us, it affects our kids, and that's what I'm so passionate about. I'm at the age of 30 now, and I stopped thinking about myself. I start thinking about what are we doing for our kids. You understand? We're in Zoom classes and in virtual classes at the moment. But then when we have to go back to school, the infrastructures are still not put in place for our kids to go school. But yet prisons are being built. Yet stadiums are being bought. Like, come on, man. We have to put our priorities in order. And it's upsetting.
Yes.
And we're taking advice from foreigners, Jamaicans and persons from US and stuff like that or whatnot. when the persons that we elect to put in charge and know the culture and the thinking of our people are refusing to appease us, to please us? Why?
I think that's something that we have to be very careful with in terms of developing our country, because with development, of course, sometimes things change, but one thing we never want to change is our culture. And
Exactly.
over
Exactly.
time, I can see that our culture is, and a lot of people say we don't have a culture here, which is so untrue, because we definitely do. Um, and I have personally seen our culture being downplayed, or not even just downplayed, um, even diminishing in a sense. And we have to hold on to the culture that we do have and promote it as much as possible. That's something that we never want to lose, because it is our uniqueness as a country. So I think that's very important for us to keep in mind. While we do want to develop, we never want to lose our sense of authenticity. And that's something that's important, and something that our leaders need to keep in mind at all times when they make their decisions in terms of how do we want to develop this country? How do we want to move this country forward? What projects do we want in this country?
Walandra, I am well connected in these Turks and Caicos Islands. I know from high class to middle class to the thugs in the streets. You hear me? And I get information from all over. And I was speaking to a big manager in Beaches, who said that, hey, they opened the country on the 24th or whatnot, but we don't have the occupancy. You understand? And the thing about it, which I don't understand, we have a lot of young Turks and Caicos Islanders that just finished high school. Are we forgetting about these kids? And they're sitting home without a job. You understand? During this COVID time or whatnot, there should be a cleansing of those on work permits and sending them home, so our people, them when beaches open or whatnot, we should, beaches could accommodate about 3,000 folks or whatever case. But I bet you, when the season open up, whatnot, all of them on work permits are going to come back to work and leave our people without a job. Come on, man. And everybody think that's fine and dandy.
One thing I could definitely say is there's a silver lining in everything. And one of the blessings of COVID-19 is the fact that it allowed the earth to cleanse. And like you say, that should have been Turks and Caicos cleansing period as well,
Yes,
because
yes,
it was a time of rejuvenation. It was a time to get your house in order.
exactly, exactly.
That was definitely what COVID-19 did. And I feel as if, of course, we could take a page out of Cayman Islands book. I've been saying this, I think this is probably the third episode I have said that on. However, hats off to Cayman Islands, because despite closing their borders and the way it may have seemed at first to other countries, they stood by what they believed in, and it worked out for the better, because now they are COVID free, or virtually COVID free, and they still have a pretty booming economy, and they don't have a struggling population, um, to speak. But Chevelle, one thing we want to know before we let you go is, how do you get in contact with TCI Protest, and is there a criteria to enter the group?
You can be contacted. I mean, I can be contacted on 2410345, and we have a few admins or whatnot. Walandra, you're a part of the group. You're our public relations. So we're so thankful for you. You have been a blessing. Everything from our design, everything. I mean, you're like the mastermind, and we're so thankful. I thank God every day for you. You know, so if they can't reach me, they can reach you. And when it comes to criteria, I just want, we have a lot of leaders, we have a lot of pastors in the group, we have a lot of group, and we have a lot of persons that are just generally concerned Caicos Islands. You understand? Once you have your country at heart and willing to stand up, you understand? Because that group is not a gossip group. We don't promote a lot of things inside that group. You understand? It is not a it's not a it's not a it's not a regular group. We are God fearing. You understand? We are God fearing people, and we just want the best for ourselves and want the best for our country. And yeah, that's just it. Simple as that. Reach out, join the movement. It's a peaceful protest group, and we're going to try to keep things as peaceful as possible. You know, understand? But at the end of the day, we don't want people to feel that this is a joke thing or a jiving thing, because we're serious about this. We really love our country. We want to see change, Walandra. We want to see the change. And like I said earlier, it's not even for us. It's for our kids, and they're for the less fortunate than us. You understand? And that is the reason that when we first started out or whatnot, we're having so much crimes and stuff like that going on. But yeah, we're just tired of all of that.
One thing that I am grateful for is the last couple of weeks we have the last couple of weeks we have seen a slight decrease in crime. At least I, for one, haven't heard of as much going on as before, and that is something that I am grateful for. Royal Turks and Caicos Police Force, we thank you guys for your effort and for everything that you're doing. I know sometimes we as a community may be hard on you guys, but you do work hard, and we do appreciate you, and you deserve the praise and thanks. So just for you guys who are interested, Tci Protest Group does have a mission statement, and that is we are an action group consisted of local activists committed to using our voice to fight against oppression, invoke change, and empower the oppressed, the repressed within the Turks and Caicos Islands in a peaceful manner. So if you are interested in that group, you can go ahead and reach out to Chevelle McPhee on Facebook, or myself on Facebook, or any other social media platform. We welcome you guys with open arms. And the goal is just to make Turks and Caicos a better place. We all want to see Turks and Caicos advance. We all want to see a better country. And we want to do it in a peaceful manner, of course. So Chevelle, we'd like to thank you as a country for being the voice of those persons who are afraid to even stand up and speak out for themselves, because I know a lot of times you may feel as if you're in the fight alone, but you're not alone, because you're the voice of those persons who don't have the heart to speak up for themselves, who cannot go out there and protest, because a lot of our civil servants, not a lot of our civil servants cannot go on the street and protest. And so you have been that voice for so many, because I know a lot of them do reach out to you personally and they express themselves. And we're grateful that you're courageous enough to take this on, because a lot of persons cannot count the cost of their cross. And you, for one, have done that. And we thank you for always sticking through that. And I want to thank Turks and Caicos for tuning in to Uncut, another week of Uncut. And it would be remiss of me if I do not mention Honorable Hildy Ewan, who was laid to rest this weekend, and we offer our condolences to the Ewing family from the whole Turks and Caicos Islands, and we pray that you guys may find peace in knowing that your loved one is now resting. Also offering condolences to my Henschel family on the passing of Robert Henschel, also known as Mike, who was laid to rest today. Mike was well known within the community. He was well loved within the community of Turks and Caicos. And for those persons who may not know, Mike worked with the Maritime and the DCR team, and we send out all our love to the Maritime and DCR team, as you guys have also loved Mike just as if he was a family to you. So condolences to the Henschel family, and thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Uncut.
This is Uncut. Can't get enough. The truth ain't holding back. This ain't no bluff. You are deserving that. Sometimes it's rough. No, I ain't holding back. Cause this is Uncut. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. No, I ain't holding back. Sometimes it's rough. This is Uncut. This is Uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no bluff.